Hey, what's going on, people? And welcome to another episode of Riley's Talk. So, of course, I got a good show for you today. It happened. It happened, and it is not only did it happen, it's happening as I predicted, as I thought about it. And I have another video that was uploaded right before this that I made a few days ago that pretty much showed how this was going to happen. So, if you have no clue what I'm talking about, then you must be living under a rock. So a few hours ago, a couple of Trump supporters, not a couple of thousand Trump supporters, they have stormed the U.S. Capitol building, where Congress and the Senate meet at. So they stormed that place. And it is not a surprise. It is not a surprise. But as usual, before we get into that, do me a favor. Hit the like, subscribe, and share button. So let's just get straight into it. There's no use of beating around the bush here. So a lot of people are going to say that, well, Trump calls this, his supporters, and that part of that is true. But this didn't happen overnight. Matter of fact, this did not happen in this election cycle, and it did not happen in the 2016 election cycle. The seeds for this were laid on, what date is that? January 20th, 2009. So that date, if anybody knows anything about, the Constitution and politics, what have you, January 20th is a lame duck session. That's also the time. That's when the lame duck ends. So that's also the time where the new president is inaugurated. The whole, I solemnly do swear to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States, so help me God. So that was the day, January 20th of 2009. That was the day that Barack Obama was officially elected as the first black, African-American, black American, whatever you want to call it, mixed president, who cares? That was the day that a darker man was elected president of the United States. Now, there is a lot of racism in this, but it's not totally racism. I'm going to do my best to cover both aspects of this. So, again, that's the day that he was elected. So remember about a few months later after he was elected, you started hearing of different groups. Remember the Tea Party? Remember them? The Tea Party, the Boston Tea Party, the no taxation without representation that we all learned in elementary school. So that Tea Party, they were allegedly tired of being taxed, of seeing their tax dollars go to different places. So they got together and created this group. Now, that in and of itself, being tired of being taxed and stuff like that, that in of itself is nothing wrong with protesting about that. But here's the issue. There was never a group that size, and there was never a group that had that much input prior to Barack Obama. Because way longer than Barack Obama, before most of us have ever been alive, the U.S. has always been running a deficit or what have you. But there's a lot of times that they're not running a deficit. So my foray into politics starts about Bill Clinton, who was elected in 1992, 1993. At that time, I'm 11, 12 years old. Of course, I don't know what everything is going on. But before I even say that, I try not to make a distinction between Democrats and Republicans. They both have good, they both have bad. But one fact that we know is this. When it comes to the national debt and how much money the U.S. owes, I don't care how much Republicans say that they're the party of small business, limited government, low spending. Factually, that is not correct. Bill Clinton left office with a surplus. He left off one of the first because Reagan ran up the deficit through what's called supply side economics, or what's the other term? It's supply side economics and trickle down economics. And the stats and the people that are smart enough already understand that this does not exist. So, but back to the Clinton, he left the office with a surplus. So then you get Bush 2, who runs up the debt because of two wars and stuff like that. So one thing that is a fact, that as much as Republicans love to claim to be the party of fiscal responsibility, on paper, at least as far as the federal government is concerned, their red ink, that's usually that Democrats do that. So let's go back to Barack Obama. A black man was elected president. That had never happened in the history of America. So here comes this Tea Party. And like I said, if I didn't say this, some of them had legitimate fiscal gripes. But I used to use this term when Barack Obama was in office. Some people use legitimate gripes, but they grabbed a hold to the racism aspect of it. to make their point. They might claim that they were not racist, and some may be true because it is politics. Politicians lie. They use whatever loophole, what have you, that they can find. And Donald Trump was a master of this. He is a complete master of this. So they use politics, they use politics disguised as racism. And other groups of these supporters use racism, straight out racism, disguised as politics. That's why you may hear the term, what's the name of that doggone term? States' rights. And excuse the noise in the background real quickly. It happens. I'm at home doing this real quickly. So you might hear states' rights. That's a code word. Or remember when during the debates with Biden and Trump, dog and whistle. When someone brings up states' rights, not everybody, before somebody gets on me with that, not everybody, but when somebody uses states' rights, that can be used as a code word. Let the states decide how we're going to treat certain individuals. Let the states decide who gets to vote. Let the states decide is abortion legal or not, what have you. We don't want the federal government to get too big, because they become too powerful. So there's legitimacy to that. There's racism to that. And then there's just what I like to call the other. So once Barack Obama is officially elected, everybody comes out the woodworks, from the racists. We knew they were going to come. Then we got the politicians that attached themselves to the racists. So Donald Trump was a creation started when Barack Obama was elected, because a lot of people, especially the good old boys crowd, they were not liking the direction of America. Adding to the fact of legal immigration and then illegal immigration, the United States no longer looks like what they want it to look like or what they expect it to look like. So you go through 8 years of Barack Obama. Now, the first couple of years, I think about the first 2 years, he had a full majority in the White House. He had what Joe Biden is going to come into. He had a super majority prior to Ted Kennedy down. He had a super majority in the Senate. He had the House of Representatives, plus he was the president. So Democrats ran all 3 branches of government at that time. But there's this Arcanian rule, and I got into this in another video, in the Senate, where the minority can bring bills to a halt. At that time, they brung everything Obama tried to do to a halt. The only key legislation that Obama really passed during, and he passed a couple of them, don't get me wrong, but the big one was the Affordable Care Act. Personally, this is just me on some personal stuff. I hate the term Obamacare. I really do, because number one, that's not the name. That is not the name. It is called the Affordable Care Act. So every Republican who ran for whatever office, because it was such a huge achievement of his, every Republican that ran for office all ran on the premise that they were going to get rid of Obamacare because it did such bad things to the government. Some of that's true, some of that's not, but it didn't even make a difference if they had a plan to replace it or what have you. So fast forward to 2012, Mitt Romney. That's when him and Barack Obama him and Barack Obama had, the president run against each other. So what's so funny about Obama and Obamacare, Obama stole or borrowed the premise of the Affordable Care Act. He stole that from Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney instituted the same concept in Massachusetts. So Mitt Romney during the election cycle kept calling for replace and repeal. How, dude? How? Now, Mitt Romney. I understand that, if you ever was to watch my video, I understand that nowadays you cannot stand Trump. You don't like him, but you are possibly responsible for how Trump has been created, and I'm going to get to that in a moment. But you kept doing this whole repeal and replace, but then you used the code word. Well, I only want it done at the state level. I don't think you're racist. I don't think Mitt Romney is racist. That was politics. Romney's job is to win the White House. So, also during Barack Obama's tenure, you had more groups established. You had more white nationalist groups established. On top of that, now a lot of Americans, we are not privy to what goes on across the pond over in Europe as they are over here. You had nationalism starting to flare up over in Europe. Hence the term Brexit, the British exit from the European Union. So that was based off a lot of nationalism. How does that affect America? Well, this is where years later Donald Trump comes in and says, you know what? Forget them. We're going to do America first, America now, America forever. So that kind of was a build up right there. From a political standpoint also, there were some people, not in fact millions of people, black, white, Hispanic, that kind of were understanding Trump. Why are we sending billions of dollars to Ukraine, to Israel, to what have you, when you have people here hurting, starving, what have you? So put that and a lot of other stuff from the illegal immigration, from the debt, what have you. Put it into a pot. Cut the stove on. Hold on for 1 second, guys. Put it into a pot. Cut the stove on. Mix it together. Guess what? You now have set the footprint for a guy like Donald Trump to come along. Because when Barack Obama did his 8 years, his 2 terms, that's all you get according to the Constitution. That's it. That's all. So Barack Obama comes along. Donald Trump comes along in 2015 and he wants to run for president. At this point, a lot of people are crying. Black, white, Hispanic. So in 2015, Donald Trump decides to run for president. It was thought to be a schmuck. It was thought to be, some BS. But in 2015, he runs for president. So at this time, Trump caught a hold of a feeling in America that a lot of people was tired of the same old, same old. Every politician getting up saying the same thing. Especially the opponent, I have said this for years. The opponent he was running against, Hillary Clinton, she was doomed to lose. She was doomed to lose for numerous reasons. Number one, people might have been tired of her. You was already the vice president's wife. We kept seeing you in the newspapers, media, what have you, for years. Then you run for Senate. Then you run for president in 2008. Then you tried again. A lot of people were just tired of seeing you. That's it. That's all. Number two, some might find this sexist. There are just some people out there that just will not vote for a woman. And here's the funny, that might not be right, but that's their political vote when they walk inside of that voting booth. That's one of the primary reasons why Barack Obama beat her in 2008 during the primaries. There were allegedly white racists who would rather vote for the black man than any woman. And I can assure you from my own personal experience, there are plenty of black men that will vote for the alleged racist Trump before they vote for any woman. So Trump comes along. Here's Trump right now. There's a lot of sentiment. We're tired of the politicians, the same old, same old. And Trump talked a good game. And on top of it, it's not that he talked a good game. He talked a real game. So forget the Mexicans. Forget them. Forget that. Nobody's saying he was right for saying this, but at least he's saying it. At least he's saying what a lot of people want to say. His illegal immigration tactics. So I've always said this for years. My dad, back in 1990, worked for a company, and he was complaining about the illegal Mexicans then. Of course, I didn't know what was going on, but so that was years coming. So Donald Trump tapped into this issue that Americans were having with our form of government, especially money outsourcing. The one thing he did do when he got into office, he tore up what's called the Trans-Pacific Partnership. That was a bill. Anybody ever heard of NAFTA? The North American Free Trade Agreement. NAFTA, it's not been good for the U.S. It's been good for Canada. It's been good for Mexico. So TPP was like NAFTA on steroids. We were about to outsource. It's like we send our businesses to these countries to quote unquote open up the world, but these businesses don't send their stuff back. So a lot of people that have a lot of businesses, they're sending their shops down to Mexico. Then if the TPP would have got passed, they're going to send it to Vietnam, Malaysia, the Philippines, where the labor is lower. And Donald Trump tapped into all of this. People were tired of this. Why is it that in the 1980s, if you adjust for inflation, that our parents, my parents, your parents, his parents, they made more money than us? So a company like Caterpillar, where they make heavy machinery, in 1988, 89, they were making like $19, $20 an hour making this machinery. That wasn't rich, but it definitely was middle class, as middle class could possibly be. You could afford a house. You could afford 2 cars. And you was only doing this on 8 hours a week. So nowadays, in 2016 at the time, nowadays somebody might be on a high end making $25 an hour, but their money doesn't go as far. But let's go to the lower end. Somebody making $12, $13, $14 an hour and are expected to maintain rent, have an apartment, or a mortgage. I don't care how many people say this, well, you shouldn't have kids till you're ready. That's true in theory only. People, and there's, excuse my language here, but no one's going to stop fucking. And somebody's going to get pregnant. So you're supposed to do all of this, take care of this huge family, the American dream on $12, $13 an hour. It's not possible. It's just not possible. So Trump, he tapped into all of that, which led him getting the most electoral votes. He didn't get the popular vote, but it led to him getting the most electoral votes, become the 45th president of the United States. So that's how we get to Trump being where he is at. Now, about this video, we started with, they stormed the Capitol. Let's deal with Trump in office. And this is the bread and butter of this video. For the last 4 years, Republicans, not all of them, but a decent amount has enabled Donald Trump to continue the terrible twos. Terrible twos. Anybody that has kids or have had to deal with children, we all know what the terrible twos are. It's when a child is about 2 years old and they're terrible. Literally, that's it. They temper tantrums. They always trying to get their way. And so as parents or as caregivers, you try to calm that down. No one ever calmed Trump's terrible twos. So Trump still to this day is at his terrible twos. But guess what? The Republican Party, as while he was president, allowed him to do it. No matter what he said, no matter what he did, they just allowed it. Some of it was for political reasons. Some of it was for racial reasons. You couldn't. And then his base, Trump's base, the MAGA supporters. Backtrack for a second. There are two types of Trump supporters, and this is key. And I think people either A, don't understand this, or they choose not to. So, Trump supporter one that you don't hear of a lot. This is the Fiscal Trump supporter. He or she is fiscal. They are more so worried about how much money is going into my pocket, how much money is leaving the American coffers, how does what we do help America. I'm a veteran, so I'm not quite sure who did he pull out of. He pulled the troops out of one of these countries, what have you. So as a veteran, I wasn't against that, because how many wars can we fight for other countries that have nothing to do with American interests? So that's one type of Trump supporter. Then you have the more well-known MAGA, Make America Great Again supporter, and those are the type that stormed the Capitol today, 100%. So these are the ones that are nationalistic. They are not trying to have America change past its point right now. On top of that, some of them just don't have anything to do. It's just about guns, God, country, and Trump. Matter of fact, Trump is atop of that. He's at a top of that. So back to, the enabling of Trump. He was enabled for years, for 4 years. The impeachment. The Republican Party, especially in the Senate, did not even try to take it serious. It's up to you whether you think he did. Put it this way, me personally, I think what he did with the Ukraine scandal was an impeachable offense. There was evidence there. But because the Republicans had the control of the Senate, because they fear a runoff, because they fear Trump himself, they just let him do it. Trump did whatever he wanted for the last 4 years. And those same people, those MAGA supporters, they were seeing this. They became emboldened because they knew Trump had their back. They knew at the end of on top of Trump having their back, the MAGA supporters, like them or hate them, they vote in the droves of it. They unlike us city folks. I'm a city boy. Unlike us city boy, where a city folks where we have millions of voters, but on a good year you might get half of us. Nah, it's not like that with MAGA supporters. It's not like that with rural supporters. You got a county, let's say in rural Texas, that have 1,000 people. That's it. That's all. And a voting age. At the end of the day, they may end up, if it's 1,000 of them, 990 of them are voting. The sheer per capita or the sheer percentages of how they vote is what gets guys like Trump into power. So once he got into power, these little towns, these little areas that you never heard of, they became emboldened from racism, from nationalism, from their guns, what have you. So again, the Republican Party, and I did a video about this, how Mitch McConnell never once stopped Donald Trump. Not just the fiscal aspect. He didn't try until recently when Donald Trump tried to pass a $2,000 stimulus, but that's another story in of itself. Mitch McConnell never tried to stop him. And so let's get into today. The storming of the Capitol and how it all came about. So, if you didn't see this coming, you chose not to. Here's what's funny. I have not even seen any of the videos of them. I've seen the pictures, but I've not even seen any of the videos officially. But I don't have to see them because I already know what's happening. Let me guess. Right now, Republicans are on TV saying, we don't know. Let's go. Let's stop the violence. No. You enabled this for years. Now these supporters are looking at you like, yo, what? You're the commander. You allowed this to happen. Now you want us to stop? No. About an hour ago, Donald Trump stated that, we are the party of law and order, no violence. No, Trump. No. Don't fart and blame the fucking dog, dude. Don't do that. Because you have asked for violence. You have asked for this numerous times. Your not conceding the election helped all of this. Republicans, you trying to delay the process helped all of this. It went from voter fraud to let's take over the state legislatures to let's try this lawsuit, let's try that lawsuit. All that went down the drain. And now today is the day that the electoral votes are certified by Congress. And now you all of a sudden don't know what's going on. You didn't think these people were going to show up to D.C. You're full of shit. Excuse me. You're full of shit. And Republicans and both Democrats can be full of shit. But Republicans, when it comes to the full of shit category, Democrats are about a 3 or 4. Republicans, not all, but the ones who voices you hear, the Ted Cruz of the world, they're about a 12 or a 13. They're way past 10. You knew what you were doing. You just hope it didn't lead to this way. You just hoped it didn't. But it was obvious that it would. These people didn't drive to D.C. for no apparent reason. They didn't fly into D.C. for no apparent reason. They flew in, they drove in to be combative. That's exactly what they did. And to a small degree, you were hoping they did. But here's the problem. Not only did Trump lose, nowadays it looks like officially, legally, that the Senate is in control of the Democrats due to what happened in Georgia. So now you're pissed. Now you're looking at, It's one of those situations where, somebody, has a rock, throws it, and then now put their hands behind their back and pretend like they don't know how the action happened. That's how we got here. I mean, I know I was all over the place and this all came in kind of fast, but that's how we got here. The Republican Party, generally speaking, primarily you, Mitch McConnell, you enabled this. Paul Ryan and a few other guys, John Boehner, when y'all was head of the House of Representatives, you did as well with the blocking of Obama. And I'm not saying you had to let everything Obama pass go. No. But it was completely, let's just stop anything that anybody is not Anglo-Saxon white American male do. We're going to stop it all. That's how we get to a situation of now armed protesters are storming the Capitol. So I'm going to finish up with this. I had another video that I did right before this one, and I did it with a guy named Wu. And so I personally feel that this whole situation, the violence and stuff like that, I'm going to stop short of a civil war. I'm going to stop short of that. It's going to be a lot of Donald Trump style hissy fits. That's exactly what's going to be. A hissy fit here, a hissy fit there. You know what I mean? What have you. So that's just exactly what it's going to be. So I don't see it leading to a full-fledged scale civil war. But you're going to have a... But matter of fact, before even what happened today, what happened in Pennsylvania, was it today or yesterday, whereas they refused to sit a elected state senator or state representative the Republicans refuse to send him, and they're gonna wonder why this is going on. The guy won the election. Now he won a close election. Now it's again voter fraud, voter fraud, voter fraud. Stop, dude. Stop. Stop. You're playing on people's intelligence, and the shit is fucking annoying. It is annoying to me anyway. So, anywho, I can talk about this for days and days and days and days. So, I tried to break it down here real quickly. So, as always, do me a favor, hit the like, subscribe, and share button. And thank you for tuning into another episode of Riley's Talk. Have a great day.